Hello and welcome to Canvas, the Niger Delta Roundtable. Every week, I discuss the future of this region blessed with hydrocarbon resources. We give time to reflecting on topics relevant to the development of the Niger Delta and her people, and we're doing just the same on this episode. I'm here, and we're focusing once again on how to take this region to a more promising future. And this podcast is sponsored by the operator of the NNPC Renaissance Total Energies Ajib joint venture, Renaissance Africa Energy Company Limited, headquartered in Port Harcourt. Thanks for joining. I'm Adedayo Ilushakin. The topic for this episode is art and the multidisciplinary mind. Today we're stepping into the world of a multidisciplinary artist, someone who refuses to be confined to a single medium, a single material, or a single way of seeing. His work moves between forms, blending texture, concept, and intuition. But one of the most compelling aspects of his practice is his approach to upcycle art, transforming discarded materials into pieces that challenge, provoke, and inspire. In a region like the Niger Delta, where the environment tells both stories of beauty and of strain, his art invites us to rethink what we throw away and what we choose to value. It asks a simple but powerful question: what new life can emerge from what we overlook? Today we explore his creative journey, the philosophy behind his process, and the road he builds from things the rest of us often ignore. Again, topic on this episode of Canvas is art and the multidisciplinary mind. And my guest is Jackson Fubara. Now, Jackson Fubara is a self-taught multidisciplinary artist whose practice spans graphic design, animation, illustration, and visual art. His work blends multiple creative disciplines, giving his pieces a distinctive style shaped by versatility and experimentation. Constantly evolving, Jackson brings a dynamic, boundary-pushing approach to art making. With a growing audience and rising recognition, he is steadily establishing himself as an impactful and exciting voice in today's art scene. Jackson, hello, welcome to Canvas, the Niger Delta Roundtable.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is great to have you here. And pardon my saying this, but when I first saw you earlier today and when you walked in, I remember what I first said was, oh, he does look like Jackson.
Yeah, I get that a lot. People say I look like an artist. I look like someone that's in the creative space a lot. So I get that a lot.
Is that deliberate, or, I mean, is it like a calling card for you want to announce yourself when people see you, or it's just you?
It's just me. I don't try to. I think artists have a way of like expressing themselves. Mine is just being me, myself. Right? Yeah, that's it.
Okay, all right. Yeah. You describe yourself, when we spoke on the phone and when I saw your profile as well, you describe yourself as a multidisciplinary artist.
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean, especially for you?
I'm an artist that hates to box himself, right? You know, all my life, I've always seen people talk about, oh, you have to niche, you have to be this, you want to be a painter, you can be a painter. But I don't necessarily think I have to niche down, because I have a lot of things going up in my mind, from I might wake up in the morning and decide to create something with clay. And why wouldn't I create with clay? Because I'm a painter, right? If I have the idea, I think I should create it with clay. If I have something for metal, I think I should create it with metal. That's just how I am. I hate to box myself. So me being a multidisciplinary artist is like just being able to fly. That's what I would say.
No, I noticed you used the expression niche down.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting that niching, if I may use that expression, or focusing on one form of art, do you think it's a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing at all. I said that because it's a personal thing. For me, I'm someone who loves to create.
Okay, can I rephrase that? Okay. Do you think it's limiting?
Sometimes it's actually limiting, but it makes you focus. Because that's, there are pros and cons to different things, right? So if you're not able to carry it, I think you should just focus on one thing, hit it continuously till you become something, even the greatest artists at some point, they try to, explore other things when they've done so much with just one thing. They try to explore maybe sculpting or other things, even like a painter. Like Da Vinci, Leonardo was not just a painter, he was everything. He tried different other things. So niching, you can say, it's somewhat limiting, but it helps you to focus. That's how I put it. The pros and cons to it.
What do you have to say about, the term specializing? I mean, if you're doing something consistently, you more or less perfect the art, if I may use that term, even though I'm using it in a somewhat general sense now, not just as refers to art. What do you make of that, and being multidisciplinary, perfecting an art, becoming what some are referred to as a master in that field, as against doing everything?
Yeah. Specializing helps you to, like I said, is still to, be able to focus, because there's something about artists, right? Our brains are everywhere. So sometimes when you specialize in one thing, it helps you to focus so much and be really good at it, right? But in my own specialty, where I'm like, I didn't even try to say, I just wanted to be a disciplinary artist. It just happened that I'd wake up today and I figured out, I can do this, or I can do this, and I can do that. And eventually I had to say, what if I just, do everything and just be the master of all of them?
Speaking of waking up and doing something,
yeah.
So I perceive that art tells story.
Yeah.
So when you decide to tell a story, how do you determine what medium best tells that story?
It's the medium. Certain stories are, we have different emotions for certain stories, right? Let's say, give an example. Let's say you want to tell a story about a sad woman, right? There are different ways to approach that. But mostly, if I want to create something around that, I would like to use a painting, right? Something that I can control, colors, something, exciting with emotions and all that. But if I want to do something like strength and all, I can decide to use wood, right? So it's about how you see the story. You look at it and you're like, how best do I tell the story? It could be different from another person, from another artist, but it's just, you have to understand the story first. Then you're like, I don't think there's anything limiting to, you must use this particular for this particular one. But, using the example I use now, you can tell, why would I use wood or clay for something that is that soft, right? But if you want to do something of power, you can do, something else, rocks and, metal, for something like that. So it's just how you're able to conserve the story or something like that. That's how I say it.
You studied fine arts?
Yes, sir.
At University of Port Harcourt?
Yes, sir.
So, which came first? Did you discover art and your love for it before that? Or was it, I studied this and then you began to discover yourself? And whatever happened, to what extent did studying fine arts shape you and your art?
I think I would say all my life, I've been an artist. I've been someone that creates, apart from just drawing and all that. I'm also very vast with music. I play up to like 3-4 instruments. I play the guitar very well, piano, drums, and some other instruments. All my life, I've been someone who creates. I just love art. But my favorite style of creating was more of drawing, and all that. So I had always known how to draw. But I wasn't really an art student. I was a science student that, because everybody knows that at the time, art was like, if you want to do art, you're going to be poor, or you're going to be a poor person, or you're not going to have money. You're going to be like a roadside artist. So I had that whole notion growing up, and the area I grew up to, that was all I saw. I never saw any artist that even had a car growing up. So it was so hard for me to, say, I want to be an artist, even if that's something I've always liked and loved to do, just draw, create pieces and all. So I was a science student that eventually, when I tried computer science and it wasn't working for me. So I decided to do a switch. So I switched to art. I did GCE. I didn't tell anyone. I just did it myself because at the time I was already doing graphics, animations, and making money from it. I was like 15, 14, 15, 16. I was already making like some money from that. So when I was able to say, okay, this is what I wanted to do art in school, which I knew wasn't going to be approved yet until by anybody. Yeah, so I had to, make the choice to say, okay, I'll switch from being a science student and all these things that they're confining me to do to be an artist. So I started making research, and I didn't even know that they used to study fine arts in school. I never knew. So I called, and I found out that, there are people that actually study fine arts in school for 4 years. And I'm like, okay. So I took JAMB again. This was after I had taken for the computer science and I already started doing everything for that. So I did everything again. One shot, I had it. And, then when I go into school, I didn't also know what I was going to do because I went into uni with like, everybody was doing different things. I could see painting, sculpture. I was like, what am I going to do? So it wasn't up until like when I was in like my third year, that was when I really knew that, okay, that's when I really knew what I wanted to do with my life as an artist. So that's it. So it was more of, I was an artist and I got into school, then school shaped me to know what I wanted to do, to have like a firm, this is who you are and this is your craft and this is this. And, the whole lectures, being around artists every single day of my life really shaped me into, that was one of the best things I ever did for myself, was go to art school.
Yeah. So since you don't want to be constrained by, one or a particular art form, and you want to express yourself using multiple forms, do you then have a consistency in terms of themes? Can a person look at your works and find a recurring theme, or you don't? You're not into that?
I didn't know about that until recently. I think I posted something recently and on my Instagram, on my story, and like anytime I post, someone's like, oh, I know you did this, or it looks like something you did. And I was thinking, I was like, because I don't even know when I do these things, but it's just like how handwriting or your voice, right? Mm-hmm. Over time, you don't even know how you sound till maybe someone says, oh, that's your voice, or this is, do you understand? So for me, I figured that it was more of like identity. I like work that has identity, right? When you see it, it makes you question a lot. You're like, why did they do this? Why did he do this? Like, it makes you question and have different reasons for it. Like, because all my work, and when people see my work, they're like, why did he decide to use yellow here? Why did he it's always questionnaires, not even like before they now look at the work and be like, oh, okay, this is, okay, now I get it. So I feel like it's more of like, when I work, I try to use an identity, whereas like, let's say, because that's something that human beings are always fighting for, like to understand themselves. So there are paintings or there are works where I've done dreadlocks, being free, dreadlocks. There are some that I've done, there was a crown instead of the head, it was on the neck, right? So it was like slavery, mental slavery of like, you're a king, but you're also a slave type of. So when you see it, there's so many questions that come to your head. So it's more of like identity, like finding yourself. I think that's the real occurrence in my work. Yeah, as a multidisciplinary artist.
For persons who either operate in the world of art or simply just can appreciate it, I perceive that some of those persons, or maybe a lot, more used to certain forms of art. And you can say, for example, they know what painting is, or a painting is, or sculpture.
Yeah.
But there are, of course, varying art forms that may not be so popular. And one of them I perceive also is upscaling art. So let's talk about that for a bit.
Okay.
What is upscaling? Upcycling. Pardon me. Upcycling art. What is upcycling art? And that goes to show I didn't even know what that is until I started researching this recording. So, what is upcycling art?
I'd say it's turning garbage into art, into something beautiful, because it's like discarded pieces, turn it into something people look at it and be like, I thought that was just a canter, or that was just bottle. And this guy used it to create some beautiful piece. First of all, people look at it and they're like from where? So upcycling is you turning discarded pieces into art, into something beautiful for people to look at. Where it's like, that's something that someone has seen and it's like, this thing I'll throw it away, and then so you gotta pick it up and you create, like, let's say a whole city from it. Like, and everybody's like, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. How did you think about that? How did you do this? Just creating something from garbage or things that discarded things.
When you say discarded things, it sounds like literally anything.
Anything. Like, I'll show you like the one I did for TEDx where I used scrap laptops. Broke, like, those laptops don't work. So I looked at it. These are things that people don't use. So I was walking around like a scavenger and I have locks and everything. So I looked like a madman. And so I went to different places. I was like, oh, do you guys have scrap laptops? They're like, no. So I kept looking. So I went to them computer places and all. And I finally saw one guy. And I went to meet him. I was like, oh, please, do you have like laptops that you're not using? And he's like, yeah, but he can't give it to me. You will sell it to me. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to buy. And he's like, why do you want to buy something that is bad? I was like, don't worry, just give it to me. He just gave me for like some ridiculous prices, and I packed all of them, sent him the money, and I went. A year later, I went back to his place to show him what I did with, that work. That work had over 1 million views across platforms, and a lot of people saw it. And I used those scrap laptops to create a cityscape of Nigeria and representing the different parts of Nigeria and everything. Imagine what I was able to create with, something that someone looked at me and was like, why are you buying scrap? Something that is discarded. And I went and showed him. The guy was just looking at me like, you did this with those things like a year after. And he was so excited, and he said, give me your number or something, just in case you want to do something like that again. I'm like, I'm not even coming to meet you again. But, but I was like, but you see how, even people don't see beauty in things till you create beauty in the thing. So yeah, I just found something.
What inspired you to use discarded materials to make art?
In school, that's another thing why I said, sometimes go to school. People say school is scam. When I was in school, I think my 200 level, we had this upcycling thing that we did, a course around that, and we used like paper bags to create clothes. We used bottle covers to create full outfits, like garbage bags to create. We had a whole lot of like fashion show with like trash. And it was so beautiful to look at. And that was something that really caught my attention. It was like, oh, this is beautiful. And I love the fact that I was able to be in a space where I was being able to be exposed to something like that. And that sparked something, when I see, like, even when I drink, because I drink a lot of bottled water, I drink bottled water. Sometimes to throw the bottles away is so hard because I'm like, there's something I can create with this. There's something I can, just seeing the beauty in trash. That's it's crazy, but it's something for me. Yeah.
So, especially when you're doing upcycling art, which comes first? Does the muse come first, and then you pick what discarded material to use, or do you see discarded material and say, okay, you know what, this can look like this eventually? Which comes first?
None of them. It's more of like how you feel. Right? So when let me give an example again for, let's say, the scrap laptops I did. So I had it in mind that I wanted to create a cityscape, but I didn't know, like, I was thinking, I was like, okay, what do I use to create a cityscape with trash? But even in this thing, I had like clips, like staple pins too, that I added to it to like have those, some other things. So it wasn't just the circuit board, it was like different things. So I had it in mind that I wanted to create that, but I was like, what do I use to create cityscapes? So I started, I was thinking, I was like, oh, okay, I have seen motherboards before from the top. From the top, it looks like a cityscape. If you look at it properly or somehow, like, I don't even know how that came about, but I had noticed it and I was like, I think laptops can work, or circuits. And sometimes you can see a cup. I can see a cup now. If let's say it's broken, and I'm like, oh, I can use this thing to create a face, like mosaic. You pick this and you pick that, you break it, and then you form. So there's no box to it. It's how there's just mood. There's a way you set your mind to just seeing the world in a different light, and then things come to you anyhow.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the word upcycling probably comes from recycling.
Yes, recycling, yeah.
Okay, so do you see upcycling as a form of activism? That there are people who are activists, save the environment, save the world, preserve the environment, save the earth and all of that. Do you see upcycling as a form of activism to save the earth? Or for you, is it just craftsmanship?
No, it's both of them. I think it's a collabo between both of them, because first of all, we're trying not to kill the earth. We're trying to save the earth. And imagine using trash, like how they burn trash and pollution, the places where you go to and it feels just smelling and you're like, this is just bad. But you're like, okay, what about I use this thing that people hate so much to create something beautiful that can be sold, right? And then it hangs up in your house or somewhere and, properly washed, taken care of, and create something beautiful. You've saved the earth, and at the same time, you've created craftsmanship and also created profit for yourself. So it's like even three things at this point.
So, you're obviously an artist.
Yeah.
Would you describe yourself as an activist as well?
Yes. I would say I'm an activist, because there are times where I've used my art to speak. Like there was one I did with the tiles. It was a lady, holding up a megaphone, speaking out, because I would consider myself more like sometimes a feminist, because I grew up around women a lot in my life. So I really kind of understand where they're coming from, with the whole, we want our rights, we want this, or, I understand where they're all coming from. And sometimes, we lock their voices, we keep them in, shut them out, and it makes them feel small. So I was able to create that piece to be like, oh, okay, I'm speaking out. There's a lady holding a megaphone, but I used the tiles to create mosaic of that. So it's like, you're speaking out. Our voices must count. It's the name of that work. It's a very big piece. One of my best jobs that I've ever done. Yeah. So it's a form of activism.
In this Canvas and Niger Delta Roundtable, we're discussing art, or multidisciplinary art, with a bit of a focus on upcycling. My guest is an artist, obviously, Jackson Fubara. We go for a break now. We'll return shortly. The conversation will continue. Please stay with us.
In the heart of our journey, where the sun touches the earth and the wind whispers through the trees, a new chapter unfolds. A chapter where energy illuminates more than just bulbs. It lights up minds. A chapter of unity, a coming together with a common goal to energize futures and illuminating lives. In classrooms, young dreams evolve, inspired by the promise of a brighter tomorrow fueled by available energy. Small businesses flourish, becoming seeds of prosperity. Energy that empowers and is catalyst for growth and change. The future is energy. So, let's light up the path to a sustainable future together. Energy for you, me, and the world at large. Energy for people and planet. We are Renaissance.
Welcome back. Still Canvas, the Niger Delta Roundtable, brought to you by Renaissance. I'm Dyer. We're discussing art and the multidisciplinary mind. My guest is a multidisciplinary artist, Jackson Fubara. Jackson, you're welcome again.
Thank you so much.
Great. Um, you live in the Niger Delta, currently in River State.
Yeah.
You work here as well. Does that in any way, living in the Niger Delta and working here, does it influence your art in any way, your environment?
Yeah, a lot. First of all, Niger Delta is so vast. We have so many cultures, so many people, languages, different things. And just that alone, plus, our vices and our struggles still where we have crude, we have, concrete. These are stories that need to be told by people. It needs to be told by especially artists, not just people, but artists. We see these things as telling stories. We're able to tell stories. It has been able to impact my work so much because every day I go out, I see things. I see different things that, I'm like, I can't wait to tell that. I can't wait to tell this. Just, plus upcycling, the topic upcycling, I see trash everywhere in River State and it's like, there's a lot to do. We need to take this out of here. We need to take this out here and all that. So yeah, it has impacted my work so much.
In your experience, especially with upcycling art, how do communities react? Communities, when you can describe different communities in your response, how do communities or different communities react when they see waste or what you like to use the word garbage, right?
Garbage, yeah.
When they see garbage turned into art, into these beautiful pieces, how do they usually respond or react?
First of all, it's they're caught with surprise. It's like, so this can be turned into, something like that. And then later on, there's pride. It comes with like pride again. They're like, okay, so things like this can be turned into, it's like, first of all, they're surprised and it comes with pride, and they're able to see these things and know that, there are people somewhere that can just create from these things that like they've discarded and everything. So first of all, like I said, it just comes with a lot of surprise. They're just like,
kind of like the fellow you got the discarded laptops from.
Exactly. The guy, when I went back to him, I was like, and then later he's like, tell people that I'm the one that sold you. Yeah, do you understand? So it's from surprise to pride, from all of his sudden, it's like, you're surprised and he said, just tell people that, it's me. Put my name somewhere,
Why? He sold them to you. What does it want?
They see why I said those pride comes into me at some point. But yeah, that's how it is.
Now.
Yeah,
but don't mind my asking this. You said you're not going to go back to him. What is it? What's the reason?
I was just joking. I was being sarcastic about that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I imagine you have several pieces to your name. Which of them would you consider the most challenging, and what's the story behind it?
The most challenging piece I ever made was the one with tiles. The project with tiles was one of my most challenging pieces because it was tedious. Whereas I had to break, I had to smash specific shapes. Sometimes I'll break it and then it's not what it is, so I have to like crack another one. Then I had like cuts. There was blood everywhere.
Wow.
So it was really challenging. It was big. It was on the plyboard. And at some point I was like, why am I even doing this? Why am I putting myself through that? But that's the thing. That's the thing about me. I enjoy the process. Sometimes I look at my work and I'm like, the finish is, but I liked the process. I prefer doing the whole work than even just seeing how it looks, and in the end. So all those things where I had to score, I'll be breaking tiles. I'm hitting it. I'll carry it, will hit my hand. I'll be like, I'm like, why am I even doing this thing? But I'll still continue. That was my most tedious and most challenging project. But that's why I say that's the one I love the most because of the story behind it. The struggle of the women. And everything. Everything was just together. And thinking about it in the first place was just like me doing something that I had never done before. I never worked with tiles. I didn't even know what to do. I had started doing my research. I went to get tiles, different shades. I'll look at the tiles. I'm like, this is not the one I want. I'll carry this one. I'll be like, oh, this is not the one. Oh, that's the one I want. And and then people would ask why, and I'm like, I don't know. I just want to do something. I just want to create. And then when it's done, they're like, oh, okay. Now I understand why you were going through that bleeding, hitting your hand, squatting, stressing yourself for hours, days, nonstop, and
Before we started recording this, you showed me some pictures on your phone.
Yeah.
And I think some of those pictures was when you were sourcing the tiles for this particular piece.
Yeah.
Those were not discarded, just to be sure, those were not discarded tiles. You went to actually buy new tiles for that.
Yeah. Some of them were very new tiles. Some of them were discarded.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a mixture of I saw some, just laying there. They were like, oh, they are going to throw them away. I was like, oh, I want those ones. But at the same time, specifics, I had specific colors I needed that I didn't see in the ones where they discarded. And I was like, okay, let me get this and that. They're like, oh, this is the price. I'm like, bring it. I'm just bring everything. And, some of them were discarded. Some of them were actual pieces.
Okay, I have to ask you this. It just occurred to me now from your narrative.
Yeah.
At Renaissance, we're all about safety.
Oh.
So I'm concerned for you right now when you say that you were breaking tiles. Your words, you were bleeding, there was blood everywhere. Isn't there stuff that you can do? Couldn't you have worn some protective material or gloves or something?
Okay, so
or you enjoy the blood as well?
No. I didn't enjoy that part. So like I said, it was the first time I was working with tiles. So before at some point, I was like, no, this thing is too much. So I found gloves, not even just regular gloves, these engineer's gloves. That's what I started using, And I was like, oh, okay, this is even better. But it was still, I couldn't pick small pieces to place where I needed to place. So I would take the gloves out sometimes. But I didn't even also know that you could just carry this spatula thing in that you can. So it was me finding out, working, and I was learning on the job. So I was something new for me. So that's it. For safety, I needed to even practice safety before I started, but I was just learning. I was just freestyling. But next time, I would be lots more careful so I don't, injure myself that much.
Is it overwhelming being a multidisciplinary artist? Does it take a toll on you? As against having one medium?
Yes, it does. It actually does. It's that was one of the things that I've been having challenges about for a bit. But this year I was able to sit with myself and just accept who I was. Because sometimes I'll be like, okay, let me just niche down, and just do it. And then I'm like, no, I knew that I can do this one too, and I try because I'm a very curious person. I'm like, just doing, because I'm also a graphic designer. That's one of the skills a lot of people know me for, graphics and all that, before I now started, putting other things like paintings and, but being a graphic designer and an animator, illustrator too, those are even 3 different things that I just used to play around with. And then people know me for those 3 things, then they started calling me visual artist. Then from there, it was just, so I was like, no, I can't do this one, but I don't want to do this one like this. But this year I was just like, you know what? This is who I am. I'm someone that just loves to create. I had to accept that first and be like, okay, whatever comes with it, I'm going to take it. But it was really challenging at first, knowing if someone asks you, what are you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. Till I found out, there's multidisciplinary, there are people like that. There are people like me that have different things that they can do and are not scared to do them. So yeah.
And you still do all of these things?
Perfectly. On my bio, I have Jack of all. My name is also Jackson. So Jack of all trade, master of all.
Ah.
Yeah, the main quote is master of none, but often better than the master of one. That's the full quote. But me, I changed it because why not?
You sound like you'd like to experiment.
Yes, I love to experiment.
So how do you balance experimentation with maintaining recognizable artistic identity? If you're doing this and then you're doing that tomorrow, you're doing this and you're doing that, How do you balance that? Your crave to be artistic and do this and do everything
Yeah.
with being recognizable.
What you recognize with Jackson is what's he up to. That's the thing with people now. At this point, everyone's like, what's next? Like we're expecting. They don't know what they're. Even me, I don't even know what we're expecting next. It could be anything. So that is the identity that I had to be like, okay, like it could be anything. So it's like when you know someone to be a painter, you know this person to be this, you know this, but with me or with this person, Jackson Fubara, is like we don't know what to expect. So everyone is on their feet, like, okay, he has done this today and he has done this tomorrow, and he's the one who works on. That is the identity that I want people to be like, not even knowing what's next. Yeah.
Let's go back to upcycle art.
Okay.
Where do you see that going in the art world, in the Niger Delta, in Nigeria, in the Niger Delta especially? Is it getting traction? Is it a thing? By thin, is it a big thing? Are more artists looking in that direction? And where do you see it going or becoming in the next maybe decade or so?
I would say I would include AI for a bit right now in this conversation. You see how people just go to their computers or their phones and they're able to type and then something comes up, a dog holding this, and then something just comes up and it becomes hard now. Somewhat becomes easy. But when you're able to create something like with upcycling, you're able to create something with things that people don't necessarily or think about, it becomes exciting, right? Over time, people are going to see it as they are going to see at that area. I don't know how to put it. I don't know the words to use, but people are going to see that area, right, as something that is new, as something that is refreshing, because it's not like the regular, we just type this, that, because we have had the whole thing where people are saying art is dying and, and all that, but I don't think it's dying. I feel like especially traditional art is going to have more value in the next 10, 20, 30 years, 50 years, because of this is something that people do with their hands now. It's not even just about typing or just about tracing or doing these things. So I feel like in the next couple years, upcycling, traditional art, things that are done with hands, like handmade work, is going to have so much value. And that's where everything changes. So I don't think I was scared at first when the whole AI and everything started coming, but over time, I saw the light and I was just like, oh, okay. Now we're talking.
Just a slight digression, maybe, since you brought it up.
Okay.
How do you feel about AI in art?
It's a love-hate relationship. At first, I was scared. Like I said, I was scared because it was almost taking my, because I'm also a digital artist, so I do digital art a lot. So at first, it was taking, like, I was getting less gigs at some point, for like the first couple months. I was so scared. I was like, what this thing is about to take, something that I've been using to eat and train myself in school. But over time, I think people started seeing it as, they could tell. There's a way you can just tell the difference between something that a person made and something that, computer made, and people started coming back. The same clients that where I saw their work at some point, like 2-3 of them were done with like, yeah, and they're like, oh, we are back to you, and they want to pay you the money for. I'm like, what's going on? I think people over time started, when something is too easy to access, it becomes, there's no value anymore. So now people want to work with identity. What's that thing that makes Jackson stand out, right? What's that thing that makes this artist stand out? I want that on my work, and I want to be able to tell that story, and everything. So it's a love-hate. It's just like how photography was at first with painters, but we still have painters till now. Photography almost stole our, like, the Renaissance era. And it was like, something can just capture, and then, something that artists were like, living la vida loca, that's what they would say. But then photographers came and tried to, this thing, but still, we still have that craft. I don't know, there's something about it that every time, every generation, something tries to come and take it, but people still want the identity. I think that's why I say love-hate relationship. But right now, I'm able to live with it.
I'm not trying to create any enemies for you or pitch you against anyone.
Okay.
But do you think those persons who employ AI in creating art, do you think they're cheating? Do you think they're bypassing the process, and can they even be called artists?
They can be. They're still artists because they type in those prompts most of the time. Some people try. Some people don't know how to, let's say, like for me, there's certain projects that I use concept artists to create. I don't create those things myself. I'll be like, okay, you're the concept artist. I'll tell you what to do. You create a sketch or something, then you give it to me. I'm like, okay, we can see how we can change this and that, do this and that. And that's what AI does. Just makes it easier for people to create these things and, finalize. So I would say they're still artists. They are obviously cheating, but, they're taking another route. But for me, I think it's just another form of like, it's just a tool. But it depends on how you use it anyways. But because for me, I know that AI still works, but I want my brain to still work, right? I know that it's easy, right? I know that it's easy to just go there and create something, but sometimes I want my brain to still be able to, I want to stress the brain. It's a personal thing for me. I'm like, I must think about this thing. There was a period I deleted ChatGPT from my phone because I was always going there for like, things. I'm like, why am I always coming here? Like, I can just, let me try and do this thing. And it helped me to be able to not go to the app all the time. Right now, I downloaded it again, but I don't go there every day because I try to minimize certain things in my life. So that's what I was saying. They're obviously cheating somehow, but yeah. Yeah.
How important, in your estimation, are artists to raising, consciousness or awareness about the environment?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that a lot of artists should do to take, should be observant. Because I walk into a room and I'm looking at everything. I'm observing how light bounces on a face or how shadows, reflect. And these are things that, okay, people just see normally. But for you to be an artist, you need to see the world from another perspective. That's what makes you stand out. Because if I want to draw you now, I'm drawing you from shadows. I can picture there's this light here. This light bounces on your face. There's this one coming from here, which is blue. There's this, all those things. Every artist should be able to, pay close attention to their environment because that's the only way you're an artist. You need to stand out. You need to be able to create. You need to be able to see the wrong, the right, the everything, and just be able to stand out. I think that's another way to stand out from like the masses.
So what I think you're saying is, as an artist, you should be like Neo in the Matrix. So rather than just seeing a human being, you're seeing the codes in green.
Exactly. Taking the blue pill and you're going with it. And you're going with it. You're seeing the world from like, it happens like sometimes I'm looking at people and I'm not just looking at them, I'm like, oh, so if she smiles here, it becomes wrinkled. And over time, when you age, it's because of the smile that makes, hair become more wrinkled, or your forehead, or your smile, or, your jaw, how it moves when you say F or Q. All those little things that people don't notice. Those are the things that me, myself, I notice. And sometimes it's even too stressful. It's just like codes everywhere. But it helps me to, when I want to draw, especially from memory, helps me to come up with a lot of things and think and, and not just use AI all the time.
Do you do exhibitions, display your work?
Oh, yeah. Like last year, I did a couple exhibitions. The first time in my life, I was able to do, people see my work and they're like, oh, this is so nice. It was exciting. Yeah, I did a couple exhibitions last year. This year, I haven't done any, but I have a couple that I would want to do, like a solo one too, for my work and everything. Yeah.
But for persons who, before that comes up, but for persons who'd like to at least see your work now, where are your works available?
There's one is in Enugu. Yeah, there's one at Enugu. The Natasha one, the one I did with tiles. That's the only one that is on display right now. A lot of my work is sitting in my room, and I don't want people to see it yet because I want everybody to see it one time. When I'm doing my exhibition, I want everyone to see like all I've been creating over like for the past year plus. Yeah,
so they're not even online.
No. Okay, but yes, some of them are. Some of them are. Yeah, but not all of them. Like not right now. Especially my upcycling work and all that. I want people to. I want everybody to see one time when you do it. You're like, oh, okay, you know.
But for those that are online, where are they?
My Instagram @by Jackson. Yeah, or if you Google Jackson Fubara, I think you see a lot of my work online.
There are no doubt. You know, I mean, I'm certain a number of young, artists out there who are thinking, who are grappling and struggling with the idea of doing art, and you, from your narrative, struggled a bit as well, especially in your environment. People telling you, "Oh, you won't amount to anything. Artists don't never amount to much." What do you have to say to those young persons who might still be struggling with, do I do this? Do I not do it? How do I do it?
I would say prove yourself. You have to prove yourself. You have to prove that, you have to prove to the world that you can do this, right? Because that's one thing that a lot of people forget. They're just doing it. They're not proving, you're not proving anything. You can decide to draw and then your dad will see it and be like, but imagine you draw and then one day he sees that, oh, they're talking about the thing on TV. It changes the narrative a bit. So you have to create till you're able to prove yourself. That's just what I have to say, because that was the only thing that saved me and that has saved a lot of other people. And also, I don't know if I should also talk to the parents. Please just let your children be, right? Especially artists. There are a lot of people I've seen that from a very young age started drawing, and some parents were helping them to buy sketchbooks, do this. So my parents did help me. They did. My family they were so supportive of my path, because I was also a very calm kid. I wasn't, so I was just drawing, but I was still going to school. I was still doing the things I had to do. But there are some people that are just very rebellious. They just want to draw. And I know how it is for them. But I'll just say, prove yourself. Do it till you're able to say, like, people look at you and they're like, this guy is so good at this thing that he can't do any other thing else. He just has to go and do this thing.
So let me ask you, before you answer, I'd like to give a personal experience as well.
Okay.
But here's the question. So what was the point where you proved yourself to other persons? But for me, I'd like to give an example. I just remembered now, actually. One of my first loves growing up when I was much younger, because I'm still growing up, was writing.
Okay.
And I would just be in my room for hours, just writing something. And then I had this older friend in the neighborhood then, in somewhere in Surulere in Lagos, who then gave me a typewriter. And you just be hearing me, if you're passing by my room, you just be hearing, and I remember my dad saying one day, what are you always writing? What are you always doing in there? What are you, so it was an issue.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe they felt I should be watching TV like a regular kid. And then I started getting writing gigs. Then I started writing articles, and I started getting published in newspapers. And I had a column. And the day my dad saw my published work in the National Daily, I think that was the day he realized, okay.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So what was it for you? What was the day or the event when you proved yourself?
It was so this was more of like in graphics. When I used to do designs for people, there was this very popular designer, musician rather, that I did his cover art for his song. It was very big at the time, Mad Over You by Runtown. I don't know if you know it.
Everybody knows Runtown.
Oh, exactly.
Mad Over You was a national anthem of sorts.
Exactly. I was the one that made the cover art for the song. Oh. So imagine how big that was. So at that time, everyone's like, oh, Jackson Fubara did this, Jackson Fubara. And everyone's like, oh, so this thing can be this big. So, from that time, you're just like, you know what, have fun, do whatever it was. And I was just like 16 at the time. So imagine being able to prove yourself at that stage in life. Then after that, I got an employment to Aristocrat Records. I was 17. The Aristocrat Records was where Burna Boy was and I was their major designer and animator there. And because I wasn't 18 yet, so the account number was my mom's account. So they were sending the money to her. They were like, this was making, this was making all this money. And, he's so young and he just stays. I'll just come back home. I'm just on my laptop. I'm not doing anything bad. Everybody knows, he's designing, and end of the month, they send my money to her. I don't even see it. I just know that, okay, we should just give me the ATM card and have fun and all that. But yeah, that's me proving myself, right? I was able to get an employment at 16, at 17, making one of the biggest global hits, cover art for the field. And from there, it just changed the story, the narrative. It was just like, whatever you want to do, have fun.
Maybe one final question before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
And I think that story might just help some kid out there.
Yeah.
So how did you come about making the cover art for Mind Over You by Runtown?
Yeah, I've narrated this story. So this was at the time, right? I was always designing. Like I told you, like I used to do graphic. That's one of the things that I love. The major things that I love and people know me for. So I was designing every day. So if someone drops a song today, I would try to reimagine what the cover would look like. If they say the song is about love or I love my mom or something, I'll try to create something, in that light with the person's image and the person's, likeness or something. So I was always creating. So I'll be posting online. People will see it. If you see it, if you comment, does it concern me? I'll just be putting it out there. And one day I just saw a DM from him and I thought it was like a fraudulent account. But when I checked, I saw that it was an actual, like it was him. It was him DMing me, like sent me direct.
Him being who?
Runtown.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So he sent me a message and said, he wants to do designs. And I'm like, from where? This was after I had been posting. And he finally saw it. So that's why I say you have to work till you're able to prove to the world that you can do it. So, from there, that was just it. You have to put I was putting out 2-3 jobs every day, just making sure that people see it. I wasn't even doing it for anything. I just loved to do it. And, it got the traction it got. And today, this is how far I've come to be able to design around the world. My work has been seen in different places. I'm designing for top 100 or top 50 in India, some songs there. My work has been on New York Times, different places around the world. And it's just from consistency.
I think that's a perfect place to wrap up this conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching and listening. It's Canvas and Niger Delta Roundtable. Art and the multidisciplinary mind, is what we've been looking at. Remarkable story and truly inspiring as well. If I do say so. My guest has been a multidisciplinary artist, Jackson Fubara. Jackson, many thanks for coming by and sharing your story.
Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun being here.
Great. Remember, it's brought to you by Renaissance African Energy Company Limited. Keep working hard. Keep putting your stuff out there, whatever it is you're doing. And someday, a Runtown is going to DM you, I suppose. Thanks for watching. And I did Dial Shakin. Bye for now.